Hello and welcome to this student edition of Stories de la Frontera. I'm Mike Hancock.
And I'm Daniela Porter. Thank you for joining us.
Tonight we begin with the dark underworld that many people don't even know exists. It's the world of human trafficking.
Every year, hundreds of young girls and women are lured into a life of false promises by pimps who control their every move. San Diego, California, the perfect climate, beautiful sunset, a hot spot for tourists. But underneath its beauty is a dark side.
In 2012, in San Diego County, there were $97 million that was made in human trafficking.
This minor is one of the victims.
One moment, I was used as an object. Then, the object would be thrown away.
In America and in Mexico, this border is actually trafficking every year 20,000 women and girls. So if you do the math, it's 1,600 women and girls a month.
According to the FBI, San Diego is the country's 8th most popular destination for child prostitution and human sex trafficking.
My education was what I wanted the most. I started to realize if I wanted to study, everything was in exchange for something else. Doesn't matter what you want and what you feel, I still had to do stuff I didn't want to.
Children are being used and abused on both sides of the border. There are young American girls that are being transferred over to Mexico and trafficked through cartels.
In this case, the minors are rescued by the Foundation International Network of Heart.
A case that we have here of two sisters, a man from the United States come every week, every weekend, and pay $100 every time that the mother allow him to take his daughter and take her to a hotel, takes pictures, and who knows what else.
Because San Diego is a border town, it is easy for traffickers to slip in and out of the country seeking victims.
The people are not only trafficked for sex and in humiliating situations, but once they're done with them, they kill them and they harvest their organs, and then they traffic that on the black market.
I will not sit silent for this epidemic. Women deserve to walk the streets to freedom.
When I decided to talk, it was because I couldn't take it anymore. Even if I could be in more danger than I already was. I felt desperate. It got to the point where I couldn't take it anymore. That's when I decided to speak up.
FBI says child sex trafficking will stop only when people realize it is a community problem. The first step is raising awareness, placing trafficking posters from the DA's office in your business. Alma Tucker's organization fights against human trafficking. She's giving victims a new chance to live.
My dreams are to finish my education, having a career, travel, and have a family.
Experts say bringing awareness is the key to ending this horrible problem here at the border. For more information on how to help victims of human trafficking, contact networkofheart.org.
Under Obama administration, 200 deportations are made every day. Many of them end up right here in the San Diego-Tijuana region.
Heather Casas takes us to one shelter that's providing some of the most basic needs to help them survive.
This is what's left of the Tijuana River Canal. It looks like a ghost town now, but not so long ago it was home of hundreds of migrants who were deported from the United States with no place else to go. It was a dangerous place to be because of the drug addicts who lived there. Last year, the authorities raided the canal, forcing everyone out. Many of the migrants, like Renee and Sara, end up several miles away at the shelter called Jehová Protege Su Pueblo, or Jehovah Protects Its People in English. It's located about 4 miles away from the San Isidro border crossing on the Mexican side.
Nosotros nos mantenemos con este albergue porque cobramos, no es una cobranza, es una cooperación de 15 pesos por la noche. Entran a las 2:30 de la tarde y salen a las 6:30 de la mañana. A mediodía se les da de comer, en la noche se les da de cenar y en la mañana se les da una canela. pero todos tienen que ser formaditos. Y ahorita como está haciendo calor, todos se duermen afuera en el patio.
If it wasn't for the shelter, they would be out on the streets trying to survive. Although the shelter is a drug-free zone, the same issues that plague El Bordo lead to uncontrollable situations.
Pero cada que viene la gente de Bordo es un problema aquí.
¿Por qué?
Andan rompiendo vidrios, andan, no hombre. Me rompieron dos ventanas de arriba. Ellos ya vienen drogados, tomados. No están conscientes. Ya no están conscientes. Y una vez se murieron aquí uno pasado, ¿se pasó?
Gracias a Jehová, que conocí a este hombre, nunca me ha dejado abajo. Fuimos amigos por 4 años. Y a las buenas y las malas estuvimos juntos.
The couple, like many others, are heartbroken after having to leave their 6 children behind in the U.S.
Gracias a Dios que no me los han dado en adopción con otra gente. Están ahí esperando. Las podré ver yo de lejos si me avisan, pero acercarme no puedo. No puedo acercarme. Si es duro, si ellas se quieren ir, pues ya está su decisión de ellas. Una de ellas sí, ella quiso que otra familia la adoptara. ¿Qué puedo hacer? Se fue, pero después se arrepintió, pero pues ahora sí que ¿qué hago? Pero de todos modos nunca van a dejar de ser mis hijos, ni nunca van a dejar de yo ser de su madre.
And while this will never be a permanent home, for now, it's all they have, until their family can be reunited once again.
The shelter is always looking for volunteers and donations. If you would like to help, contact the number on the screen.
The founder of a San Diego organization faces the unknown every weekend. He and his volunteers tackle the deserts of Arizona and the mountains of California.
They are in search of border crossers who are lost. Emerald Campos has his story.
Imagine trekking through this rough terrain with no food or water, where temperatures range from an icy 30 degrees at night to a suffocating and scorching 150 degrees during the day. Rafael Hernandez knows this area well. For almost 2 decades, he's dedicated his life searching for lost border crossers here.
Ahorita estamos en las montañas de Otay, que es la zona más próxima para entrar de México a Estados Unidos, siendo el lugar más cercano, también es el más protegido.
His organization, Los Ángeles del Desierto, or the Desert Angels, was created one night after watching a story on a local newscast.
A woman on the Mexican side of the border was begging for help. Her husband was lost during a snowstorm in the notoriously dangerous Rumorosa Mountains that extend from Mexicali into California.
Y lo vemos muchas veces que se pierde un niño, se pierde inclusive hasta un animalito y se juntan muchos vecinos a ir a ayudar. ¿Sí? Entonces yo dije, bueno, yo voy.
Hernandez opened an international phone line.
Porque todas las personas que me están llamando, que buscan a sus familiares, los buscan con una desesperación tremenda.
Although Hernandez embarks on these missions with high hopes, he knows all too well that outcome might be grim.
Agarré su mano, le dije, ya llegamos, mijo, te vas a ir a tu casa, ya estamos contigo. Nada más, lo único que sentí fue que me apretó su mano, me apretó fuerte y ya.
To Hernandez, each case is special. They are brothers and sisters who he says are just trying to survive.
Sabemos que no lo tenemos que hacer, lo sabemos, pero nuestra gente no lo sabe y nuestra gente está muriendo allí.
In 2013, Hernandez was recognized for his humanitarian efforts by Estrella TV. He was flown to Miami, where he was honored with an award and a donation from Latin singer Olga Tañón.
La señorita Olga salió, me llamó por mi nombre, me subió al escenario.
That donation helped fund this small plane.
Las distancias que tienen que caminar normalmente son de 100 a 120 millas. Terrenos completamente hostiles, en temperaturas de veras increíbles.
And there are other dangers too. Rafael and his crew are not always welcome. Several years ago, he was assaulted and left for dead in the Arizona desert.
Que nos golpearon ahí en el desierto, me dejaron muy mal de mi ojo, este ojo no veía y tenía un derrame por dentro.
Thankfully, the donation from Olga Tañón helped him pay for a surgery. Miraculously, his vision has been restored. Despite the pain and a constant struggle for funding and manpower, This angel of the desert shows no sign of slowing down.
Porque si ya no puedo yo caminar, no pienso de ninguna forma por esa razón no seguir.
The group's always looking for volunteers, and you can find out more by visiting their website. A group of American friends is changing lives one project at a time.
They pack up their tools, they open their hearts and their wallets in hope of making the life of some Mexican families a little better. Guillermina Romero and her children watch for hours as a group of American strangers labor in the hot sun. This weekend, Mike Shervakov and the other volunteers are building Guillermina and her children a brand new home.
People are giving up their time to spend a weekend down here making a difference for other people who they've never met before. I'm inspired by seeing other people inspired.
The volunteers are a group of friends who contacted Baja Band organization. For most of them, it is their first experience working in construction.
Baja Bound is about changing lives both sides of the border. The families that receive the home are given hope and dignity, and those participating in the project find that their hearts are forever changed and end up bringing that mission home with them.
This colonia is near Ensenada, about 40 miles south of the international border. Guillermina's family landed here 2 years ago from the southern coast of Mexico in the state of Guerrero. She speaks in her native Mixteco, a tribal dialect. The language barrier doesn't stop her from communicating with the volunteers or the children from playing. Until now, Guillermina and her children lived here in a small wooden structure with no running water, no electricity, and dirt floors. Guillermina's dream is to have her entire family united once again. Finally, the moment they have all been waiting for. For Guillermina and her family, it's a day they will never forget. They are moved deeply by the generosity of these volunteers.
Es un gesto lindo, muy lindo de su parte.
Una casa está grande para mí.
If you're wondering, the total cost of the home they built is an estimated $9,000. Each volunteer put a minimum of $300. If you would like to donate time or financial support, visit their website at bajabound.org.
From building houses to building ships, there's a big project underway along the Embarcadero.
But not everyone agrees on the story about its history. Charles Jeter has more.
As the San Salvador replica, modeled after the historic Juan Cabrillo flagship, nears completion, pride in the construction mixes with tribal concerns about the message its new mission will send. Local Kumeyays say the Spanish exploration is part of their story, a story that some in the tribal community feel is not being told. Mark Montijo, Vice President of the Maritime Museum, explains the purpose of the project.
The ship will primarily be here in San Diego. It'll be here as another exhibit at the Maritime Museum and filling a hole in the history that we interpret. It will be host for local education programs, and then every year for at least a month or two it will go up the coast to other coastal cities and partner with other educational organizations in working with kids around the state.
But concerns are being raised between Kumeyay leaders and museum staff. Kumeyay are concerned that their true interaction with the Spanish is being fictionalized.
At the first meeting, I just felt like we were dismissed. We came here and told you about it, and this is what we're going to do. Well, why even come and tell us then?
Our curriculum is developed in-house by our own staff. We consult wherever we feel there's going to be additional information that can contribute to that. The local Kumeyay are, I believe, a dozen different tribal groups. There's not a consensus of opinion amongst them about their own history. History is subject to interpretation and changing interpretations.
One thing about when we look at history, like so many people had said before, that, you know, that if you don't know your history, you're destined to relive it. We don't want to relive this history. We do not want to relive it. So that's why we're saying tell the truth.
Steve Benegas is a tribal spokesman for the Kumeyaay repatriation effort.
That I have grandchildren, I have children, that I've made a promise to, that I will share everything I can with them, everything, good and the bad, that I will be open.
Both sides want to tell the right story.
We must give it to them, or we must make it available. If we choose not to do that, then we're only shortchanging ourselves and shortchanging them.
I suspect that some of my ancestors were oppressed. I suspect that some of my ancestors were oppressors. This is probably true of most of us. And we have lessons to learn from both heritages.
As both sides continue dialogue about San Salvador's curriculum, perhaps its mere existence will help foster discussion on San Diego's history.
As of this broadcast, there are no scheduled meetings between the Kumeyaay and the Maritime Museum educators. You can visit the Maritime Museum website for more information about their tours.
Our teenage years are full of awkward faces and growing pains, but for some teens, their struggles include much more than that.
Tonight, we introduce you to one famous actor who launched a program that's making a difference for young people on both sides of the border.
We're acting, when we're on stage or in front of the camera, we take a huge risk.
Actor Jose Yenke has a familiar face, perhaps best known as a corrupt Mexican official in the hit movie Traffic. But getting to this point wasn't easy.
I was 14 years old. I was 230 pounds, and I had no desire to be an actor. And she put me into this workshop, and it was 7 months of being out of my comfort zone. It was 7 months of being feeling embarrassed. 7 months of these weird theater games and exercises, and I was scared. I was terrified, but I didn't miss a class.
Thanks to one of Yenke's acting colleagues who introduced him to teens at Tijuana orphanages, Jose made a special connection with a boy named Israel.
He got my attention because he wouldn't talk. He's really angry. And later on, I had found out that his mom had done, because of necessity, and she had a drug problem, and she had done, sold the kids, him and his sister, to, for drugs. And that made me want to go back to that one orphanage. And I kept going back monthly, bi-monthly trips just to make sure he was okay. Finally, slowly but surely, after a couple of years, he started talking.
That welfare check turned into a lifelong friendship for the two. Jose founded an organization called Arts for a Better Tomorrow to give young people hope. Israel graduated from that academy and has a new outlook on life. Now, Yenke tries to give back to young people who, just like him, are struggling. He holds the workshops at a continuation school in the Los Angeles barrio. This acting program combines cinema, art enthusiasm, and anger management therapy techniques, providing a dynamic group project for at-risk teens.
What I think about this program is just life-changing. I've never seen programs like this, here, you could say. I've never seen them here. And to meet someone who will be there, understand you, even though you guys have nothing in common, and, give you those wise words through acting, it's amazing.
I think what this program is doing is beautiful because it's bringing together, kids that share similar things, similar passions, problems.
Now the Mexican teens connect via Skype with teenagers in the Highland Park neighborhood in Los Angeles. When the teens in LA heard that one of the students at the orphanages was thinking about dropping out of the program, they put their hearts and minds together.
Some people you can trust, some people you can't.
I think that you should just stay in school, in the workshop.
And I say you should go back to Mr. Yanke's class because it's important and they miss you and shouldn't go down the wrong path.
Arts for a Better Tomorrow may not produce Oscar award-winning actors, but for Jose Yenke, seeing these teens succeed in life is the biggest prize anyone could hope for. Visit the Arts for a Better Tomorrow Facebook or the YouTube page to learn more about their upcoming events.
It's been said that the best way to learn about a culture is through its food. Take a short 5-minute drive south of the border, and that's where you will find Mercado Hidalgo.
As Sam Sondal tells us, this little gem remains largely undiscovered by most tourists.
This is the Mercado Hidalgo in downtown Tijuana. You rarely see tourists here. It's a place where locals buy everything, from fresh fruit and vegetables to candy, baked goods, and more. Looking for chilies? Mercado Hidalgo has plenty of varieties to choose from. And if all this shopping gives you an appetite, step into a fonda for tacos and a cerveza. A visit to the Mercado Hidalgo is a rich and colorful experience filled with sights, scents, and sounds you won't soon forget.
The Mercado is located in the northern edge of Zona Rio. It will cost you less than $5 cab ride.
As the saying goes, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, and for many people that means happy hour.
Carrie Bryan take us to a local restaurant where tequila is king, no passport required.
The blue agave, native to the Mexican state of Jalisco, where the patient Imadores harvest over 300 million plants a year, all with the goal to produce the finest tequila around. From plant to pulque, the craft of tequila uses traditions that have been passed down through generations, aged to perfection, and sent off to its next destination, like this one here. Welcome to the Old Town Tequila Factory, located in Old Town San Diego, where you could find the special edition Old Town Tequila Factory Double Barrel Tequila, a Heredera Reposado straight from the Casa Heredera Master Distillery.
We have a double barrel tequila, which is our signature tequila. It is barreled 11 months in the barrel that Heredera has for us, and then we pick our own barrel and the notes that we want in it, flavors, and barrel an extra month in our barrel. Our own Old Town Tequila barrel.
And if you prefer your tequila sweeter or unaged, the Tequila Factory has got you covered.
A Blanco, which is not aged at all, and then a Reposado, which is aged up to 6 months. And then we have an Añejo, which is 12 months or more.
And when asked about most popular?
I would say ours, the double barrel that we have. That's what everybody orders. They love it. We have over 240 bottles, which are hand-formed by Heredera.
I just walked a mile to get to this place, all right? That shows something. Tequila's great.
Salud!
And the atmosphere is awesome.
The Old Town Tequila Factory carries over 75 different types of tequila. On the high end, a shot can go for $75.
There is another hiding gem in Baja California where surfers around the world search for the perfect wave, but the area is in danger of being redeveloped at the hands of the Mexican government.
As Carla Hernandez shows us, the surfing community is coming together to defend Mother Nature.
One of the reasons that this wave is great is because there's a watershed right behind it. It's really important because a watershed is an area of land that all the water drains to one singular point. Water in San Miguel is green, so it's essentially like a desert landscape. There are willows and important trees, which provide a lot of habitat for a variety of bird species which depend on ecosystems like these. Trestles also has a watershed which brings the water cobbles down and helps create a beautiful shape of the wave. It's important for surfers to know that function.
Porque es una ola de 5 estrellas, se categoriza por el arrecife, es muy fuerte la ola, aunque está chica, pero tiene muy buena forma y se le pueden pegar maniobras. Cuando está grande es una ola muy buena, muy tubera.
It's important to know that acid rains, anything that happens in the land, will end up in the waves, including contaminants and water pollution. Gustavo represents Pro Natura, a group that works with Save the Waves Wild Coast.
Imagine coming into Ensenada through the toll road, and the first thing that you see is a beautiful state park that provides camping for visitors, provides access to the beach, provides services for those that want to enjoy the beach and the wave, provide areas for people to walk, for hike, for riding a bike, just enjoying nature. This will be the first state park for Baja California. It goes from the coast all the way 6 kilometers inland along the arroyo.
In a combined effort to turn San Miguel into a state park, we have an opportunity to keep something like trussels, or we could also have a massive development and massive building within this watershed and change it, and it could become something like the Tijuana River.
Para mí es como el patio de mi casa. Entonces yo sí le tengo mucho cariño, mucho amor a este lugar y siempre lo voy a estar y a defender.
In these times when there's so many problems everywhere, you read a newspaper and it's full of problems, wars, violence, and all kind of negative things. To create this kind of protected area, preserve nature for the people is one of the things that provides hope for people, for locals.
A movement has already begun to turn San Miguel into a state park, but in order for protective legislation to pass, the government of Baja needs to be convinced that people around the world care about the preservation of this place. It's easier to defend a wave than it is to restore it.
In order for the area to be protected permanently, the Surfrider Foundation will have to present some 9,000 signatures. The petition's linked to their website at surfrider.org. Thanks for watching this student edition of Stories de la Frontera. I'm Mike Hancock.
And I'm Daniela Porter. Hasta la próxima.